Hello everyone. Today we are going to study Introduction to Economics, and I will discuss with you the definition of economics, and I will cover in this video nature and scope of economics also. So first of all, I am going to explain introduction part of economics. Okay, because before knowing the definition of economics, it is very important to know how did economics start. The term economics has been derived from the Greek word oikonomikos. The Greek word oikonomikos, meaning the science of households management. Greek word oikonomikos meaning the science of household management. At the initial stage of development of human civilization, economics was confined to efficient financial management of households. It dealt with the way in which a household could make the best and most efficient use of its limited resources. Limited resources like income to satisfy its unlimited wants. Limited resources and unlimited wants. So in those days the economic activities of man were not so wide and complex. The simplest form of production units were existed, and so economics remained confined to a limited area with narrow scope. I mean to say that at the initial stage of economics, the simplest form of production units were existed, and economics remained confined to a limited area with narrow scope. But later, with the growth and advancement of human civilization, the concept of efficient financial management of households was carried over to the society, and as a nation, society and nation as a whole. Wants and needs of every society are unlimited, while the resources available with the society to satisfy these wants and needs are limited, and these limited resources to have alternative uses. Therefore, the society has to decide the goods and services to be produced with these resources, and also the quantity in which these goods and services should be produced so that maximum possible wants of society may be satisfied. I mean to say, the society has to decide how to make the best and most efficient use of available resources. But as I have discussed with you, initial and later view of economics, because initial view of economics present that the simplest form of production units were existed, and later view, with the growth and advancement of human civilization, the concept of efficient financial management of households was carried over to the society and nation as a whole. But resources are limited and wants are unlimited. But modern view of economics were changed to initial view of economics. So I will discuss modern view of economics in this slide. Modern view of economics is not confined only to the allocation of resources, but is also concerned with the development of these resources. The wants and needs of every economy has grown in many folds. I mean to say, population and labor force have increased. Sources and techniques of production have improved in the modern view of economics. Infrastructural facilities have become more advanced. Facilities of research and development has developed. New natural resources have been explored. I mean to say, both the physical and human resources have grown. The production capacity of modern economics has grown tremendously. Yet, the growth in production and income has been smooth. Therefore, economics has to explore and exploit the available resources of economic growth and to employ them for the economic growth of the country. It has also to ensure that the available resources are efficiently utilized for the economic growth and welfare of the country. Economics is also concerned with the increase in productive capacity of scarce resources and the rate of growth of economic development. Unlikely the early days, every economy of today is a complex system. Several economic problem arises before each of the economies of the world, and they are to be tackled carefully and most wisely. Economics as a science analysis the cause of these problems and suggests a number of alternative course of actions which may be taken to overcome them. So, after knowing the introduction part, I mean to say initial view of economics, later view, and I have studied modern view of economics. And a modern view of economics were changed from initial and later view. So after knowing the introduction part of economics, it is very important to know what is the definition of economics. Okay, so I will discuss with you what is the definition of economics in this slide. It is necessary to define the subject which we want to study. Definition of a subject facilitates the understanding of its meaning, nature, characteristics, and limitations. Therefore, it is necessary to begin the study of economics with its definitions. Okay, economics as a discipline has evolved in a long course of time, and several economists have made contribution to it. Interestingly, different group of economists followed different set of definition. There is not a single definition. There is not a single definition that can be used to define the subject economics, which all the economists agree upon. Professor J.M. Keynes has rightly remarked, economics is said to have strangled itself with definitions. Even the economists are seems to be more disagree to each other when it comes to their own view on the matter. Therefore, it is difficult to provide a universally accepted definition of economics. Through a dispute of the definition of economics has not yet come to an end. Even an analytical study of all the available definition is necessary to arrive at a conclusion. Available definition of economics can be divided into four categories. First is wealth-centered definition. Second view of economics is a welfare-centered definition. Third one is scarcity definition. And fourth view of definition is growth centered definition. I mean to say, I have discussed introduction part, and now I am going to discuss with you wealth, welfare, scarcity and growth center definition. So first of all, I will discuss with you wealth center definition. So wealth center definition, where early classical economists defined economics as the science of wealth. Adam Smith is the father of economics. Adam Smith, J.S. Mill, J.B. Say, F.A. Walker and other contemporary economists of 18th and early 19th centuries were the economists who considered economics as the part of knowledge which is related with wealth and its acquisition. According to them, the economic is the study of wealth and utilization. Some of the definition under this category can be quoted as like political economy is a study of the nature and cause of wealth of nation, given by Adam Smith, and J.B. Shea says that economics is the science which treats of wealth. Because I am discussing wealth-centered definition, and in around 18th century and early 19th century, there are lot of economists has says that, but views of that economist is the same. Matlab, I mean to say, focus on only wealth-centered definition. Like J.B. says that economics is the science which treat of wealth. F.A. Walker says that economics is that body of knowledge which related to wealth. So, important features of wealth-centered definition may be summarized as follows, like a central point of the subject matter of economics is wealth. I mean to say, wealth occupy more important place than men. Wealth is the only base of human pleasure. An ordinary man is an economic man who perform economic activities motivated by his self only. Individual property adds to national wealth and prosperity. These are the important features of wealth-centered definition. But wealth definition have been sharply criticized by social reformers and writers of 19th century like Ruskin and Matthew Arnold. According to them, a study of economics makes man a mean and selfish being whose sole aim is to accumulate wealth and to be rich. So, I mean to say, the main point of criticism of wealth-centered definition, like wealth is the center point of economic study. They criticized on concept of economic man. This category of definition is based on the assumptions of economic man. And Alfred Marshall and Pigou and others, the concept of economics man is totally hypothetical, as his only motive is to acquire wealth and to satisfy the needs. Because they criticize that the wealth center definition focus on narrow meaning of wealth and neglecting human welfare. No discussion on means to attain wealth, neglecting the problem of scarcity and choice. Focus on only wealth So it focus on only narrow subject matter. So they all like Pigou, Alfred Marshall criticize the wealth center definition. So next view of economics definition is welfare center definition. Welfare center definitions where the Alfred Marshall was the first economist to set at rest the criticism of wealth definition. He emphasized that man is not for wealth, but wealth is for man. He said that wealth is a mean to satisfy human wants and not an end in itself. Further, Marshall gave primary importance to man than the wealth. In fact, Marshall tried to make the study of economics as an engine of social welfare. The view of Professor Marshall was supported by Professor Pigou, Cannon, and Clark, etc. Some of the major definition under this category can be given like a Marshall focus on economics is a study of mankind in the ordinary business life. It examines that part of social action which is most closely connected with the attainment and with the use of material requisites of well-being. Pension says that economics is the science of material welfare. So, on the basis of these points, it can be concluded that according to Professor Marshall and his followers, economics is the study of material welfare of mankind rather than to acquire the wealth with selfish motive. Okay, so economics is the study of ordinary business of life. Economics is a social science. I mean to say the important features of welfare definition, economics is a social science. Economics studies only the economic activities. Welfare definition have emphasized upon the importance of man. According to Professor Marshall, man is not for wealth, wealth is for man. According to him, wealth is only a means and not an end. End is human welfare. Economics is both a science and an art. So, next I will discuss next definition, scarcity center definition. After discussing welfare center definition, I will discuss scarcity center definition. Okay. Professor Robbins challenged the traditional view of economics. His opposition to the view of Marshall definition of economics can be seen in the form of his criticism. He called the definition of economics given by most of the previous economists as classification and unscientific. As a result of his dissatisfaction towards the welfare definition of economics given by Marshall and his followers, he himself developed a new definition. I mean to say Professor Robbins criticized the view of Marshall and his followers, so he himself developed a new definition. His new definition economics was observed in his book, and book name is Nature and Significance of Economic Science, published in 1932. According to him, economics is a science. Economics is a science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. I am repeating. Economics is a science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and square means, which have alternative uses. The viewpoint of Professor Robbins was fully supported by many famous economists of his time, including Professor Eric Roll, Karen Cross, Friedman, and lot of economists, etc. Some of the definition given by these economists can be given as a like Stigler says that economics is the study of the principles governing the allocation of scarce means among competing ends when the objective of allocation is to maximize the attainment of the ends. So, if I will discuss the scarcity point, so it is very important to discuss the important features of scarcity definition. Like human wants are unlimited, because I have discussed with you according to Professor Robbins, economics is a science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means. Ends and scarce means. Two main points: ends and scarce means. Ends indicates human wants. Ends means unlimited. Unlimited word is related to human wants. That means human wants are unlimited. Scarcity center definition brings out that human wants are unlimited, but intensity of each of these wants differ to each other. A man is always surrounded by his wants. He can never satisfy all of his wants. Therefore, the need arises to choose between more and less urgent wants. It gives rise to the economic problems. And human wants are unlimited. Ends focus on unlimited wants, and scarce means like a resources that are limited. The resources available with every person are limited. Therefore, he has to choose rationally between limited resources and unlimited wants. A man has to decide which want is to be satisfied and which are to be left. Then he is to decide which want should be satisfied first and which after some time. Man has to decide. He has to see how best he can use his limited resources, because scarce resources have alternative uses according to Professor Robbins. The problem of unlimited wants and scarce resources becomes more serious because of the fact that scarce resources have alternative uses. Economics is a human science. According to Professor Robbins, economics is a human science. It studies the activities of all the person, whether they are or they are not a part of society. So, after discussing the scarcity center definition, I will discuss growth center definition. Growth is the last view of economic definition. So, after discussing, I am going to discuss growth center definition. In the last 50 years or so, economic thinking has got new dimension. It moved further ahead of Robbins and his followers. Robbins believed economics is concerned with the best possible use of scarce resources of society. But the modern economics believe that economics is much more than a theory of value or of allocation of resources. Some of the growth-oriented definition given by the contemporary economists are given in the following manner, like Professor Samuelson says that economics is the study of how man and society choose, with or without the use of money, to employ scarce productive resources which could have alternative uses to produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now and in the future among various people and groups of society. Modern economists regard economics much more broadly. According to them, economics is concerned with suggesting the ways and means in which the available resources can be allocated rationally and in which these resources can be further increased so that maximum satisfaction of wants may be assured. Maximum satisfaction of wants may be assured. Now I am going to discuss nature of economics. After discussing introduction part, then definition point of view given by many economists, I will discuss nature of economics. Nature of economics. So first of all, economics as a science. Economics as a science, like first of all, I want to discuss what is science. Economics as a science, but what is science? Science is systematic study of facts. Science is a systematized body of knowledge which establishes relationship between cause and effect. What do you understand by cause and effect? Cause and effect, that's mean what is the reason behind this? Cause. What is the cause? I mean to say, what is the reason behind this? If I am doing this work, what is the reason behind this? Effect view. If I have done, what will be the consequences for certain action? So I am saying science is a systematized body of knowledge which establishes relationship between cause and effect. It is a systematic collection, classification and analysis of facts. Science is built up of facts as a house is built up of stones. But an accumulation of facts is no more a science than a heap of stones in a house. Systematic study of facts, certain rules and principles of science are based on cause and effect. Rules and principles of science are universally applicable. So we can say that economics as a science, because many economists believe that economics is a science. Scholars, those who hold this view, put the following argument in favor of their opinion, like systematic study of facts, use of economic laws and principles. It establishes relationship between cause and effect, and universally of laws and principles. But economics as art. Economics is a science as well as art. So, what do you understand by art? If economics as a art, so what is art? So, I want to clear that art means the systematic branch of knowledge which teaches how to do a particular work in its best. At a present scenario, every man is doing his work. But art means how to do a particular work in its best. You can see that art is the practical application of scientific principles. Science lays down certain principles, while art put these principles into practical use. If we are saying economics as a science as well as art, that means economics, according to this point, science lays down certain principles while art put these principles into practical use. According to Dr. Mack, art in just the way of doing or making anything in such a fashion as to bring rhyme in it. And art is a system of rules for the attainment of a given end. So, economics is considering as a science as well as art. Okay, so next point is economics as a positive science and economics as a normative science. Economics is a positive science. So it is very important to know, if economics has a positive science, what is positive science? Positive science is that branch of science which states the actual situation. Positive science is concerned with the establishment of relationship between cause and effect of an event. It indicates actual facts and does not give any judgment about them. Positive science only replies what it is and not what it should be. A positive science may be defined as a body of systematized knowledge concerning what is. But economics as a normative science. Positive science and normative science both are the branch of science. But the view of positive science is what it is and not what it should be. But the view of normative science is that it is that branch of science which is related with directing and formulating policies. Main object of normative science is the determination of ideals. Positive science tells us what should be done and what should not be done in given circumstances. Positive science, according economics, only as positive science will be meaningless. A normative or regulative science may be defined as a body of systematized knowledge relating to the criteria of what ought to be. So, nature of economics is considered like economics as a science, economics as an art, economics as a positive science, and economics as a normative science. Now we come scope of economics. In this slide, we will discuss economics scope. So, from our study about economics up till now, we know that economics as a branch of knowledge is concerned with the study of the allocation of scarce resources among competing choices. Problem of resource allocation has been constantly faced by individuals, enterprises, and nations over the years. The science of economics has developed a variety of concepts and analytical tools to deal with such allocation problem. In fact, a great deal of sophistication has entered this field in recent decades by the increasing use of mathematical and statistical methodology. However, economics goes far beyond choice making behavior. Measure national and international economic issue constitute a large part of modern economic science. Current, Currently, the theory of economic growth has occupied an important place in the study of economics with reference to underdeveloped economics. It studies how the national income grows over the years. Thus, a study of economic growth and of economic stability forms an integral and important part of the study of economics. Economics has two major branches. First is microeconomics and second is macroeconomics. We will now discuss them in detail so as to understand the scope of economics. First is microeconomics. Micro is a term which means small. Micro means small. Okay? Micro is a term which means small. As the name suggests, it is not aggregative but selective, whereas macroeconomics is concerned with the level of output as a whole. Microeconomics may be defined as a study of prices of individual commodities and services in individual market. Its object is to discover why precisely a particular number of tables and shoes are manufactured, why the price of one commodity is greater than the other, why shoes maker differ from the table maker, and to answer a host of other similar questions relating to the composition rather than magnitude of the economy output. The study of microeconomics covers like product pricing, consumer behavior, factor pricing, economic conditions of a section of the people, study of firms, location of an industry, etc. We can see that microeconomics solve the three main problems of an economy: what, how, and for whom to produce. These are the main problems: what, how, and for whom to produce. The scope of microeconomics is illustrated with this graph. You are seeing this, and we can say that microeconomics solve the three main problems of an economy: what, how, and for whom to produce. The study of microeconomics is important because of following reasons: because it is related to production function and factor pricing and welfare economics. Well, welfare, I like that welfare of people as consumers and producers also. Production function is related to theory of demand, theory of supply, theory of price determination, and related to optimum allocation of resources. But factor pricing is related wages, rent, interest, and profit. This is theory of distribution, because any producer is going to distribute. So wages, rent, interest, and profit, factor pricing. So the study of microeconomics is important because of following reasons, like formation of economic policies. Microeconomics help in formulating economic policies which enhance production efficiency and result in greater social welfare. And operation of an economy. Microeconomics explain the working of a capitalist economy where individual units are free to take their own decision. And microeconomics is related to prediction because it helps manager to make conditional prediction and business forecast. And the scope of microeconomics is related to managerial decision because it helps managers to make decision on the basis of cost and demand analysis also. It also help in allotment of resources for maximum gains. The study of microeconomic is important because of economic welfare. It help in attaining economic welfare of consumers and producers. Okay, so now I am going to discuss macroeconomics. Macroeconomics. So macro is a term which means large. Micro is a term which means small, and macro, macro, macro is a term which means large. Macroeconomic is that part of economics which deals with the aggregates and averages of the system rather than which particular items in it. It attempts to define these aggregates in a useful manner and explains, examines how they are related and determined. It is sufficiently clear from the above definition that macroeconomics aims at dealing with the aggregates and averages. The economist, while following the macro approach, are not interested in individual terms such as individual, consumers, buyers, producers and seller, etc. The behavior of an individual is analyzed in microeconomics. Macroeconomics is aggregative economics, wherein the overall conditions of the economy such as total production, total consumption, total saving and total investment are studied. It is the study of overall economic phenomena as a whole rather than its individual part. So I will tell you the detailed discussion of the macroeconomics, like it includes national income and output, general price level, balance of trade and payment. It includes external value of money, and it includes saving and investment, employment and economic growth, etc. The study of macroeconomics is used to solve many problems of an economy like monetary problems, economic fluctuations, general unemployment, inflation, disequilibrium in the balance of payment position. So, the importance of macroeconomics is like helpful in understanding the functioning of an economy. I mean to say the study of macroeconomics is important because of following reason. Like helpful in understanding the functioning of an economy because it provides an overall picture and powerful tool to explain the working of a complex economic system. Macroeconomics is important because of it is formulating of economic policy. Macroeconomics provides basic and logical framework for formulating appropriate policy. Government policies are meant for a group of individuals rather than any particular individual. Macroeconomic is helpful for control over business cycle because it help in analyzing and controlling economic fluctuations. That's mean business cycle. And macroeconomic is helpful in economic planning, like it is helpful in formulating and adopting proper policies for economic planning and enforcing them. So we can see that macroeconomics present theory of national income, theory of employment, theory of price level and inflation, and it is important for discussing the theory of economic growth and theory of international trade also, and macro theory of distribution. So microeconomics is aggregate economics wherein the overall conditions of the economy such as total production, total saving and total investment in studies. And lastly, I want to tell you that some of the major limitations of macroeconomics are like several conclusions of macroeconomics are based on the sum total of individuals units. They may not present a true picture because what is true for individuals may not necessarily be true for the whole economy. Macroeconomics studies aggregate, but it is the composition of the structure of the aggregate which influence an economy rather than the aggregate itself. Moreover, it is difficult to measure various aggregates of macroeconomics. Most of the macroeconomic models are of theoretical significance. They have very little use in practical life. So, I have covered the scope of economics behalf of 2 points to major perspective like microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now, thank you all. Okay, it's I have covered the total topic of economics. Thank you all.